Okay, we're back under the hood of the TDI 2003 Jetta ALH 1.9 TDI. Check out some of the other videos we've done recently on this car. We had a coolant leak. The coolant sensor back there was leaking. We removed the EGR cooler and all the vacuum hoses and everything. We put this race pipe on, got rid of the EGR and the anti-shutter valve, and kind of just simplified the whole thing. Now, this is what we've been waiting for a long time, is this. Guess what we're doing now? Injector nozzles, finally. We've been waiting for this one for a long time. I wanted to get everything else running good to begin with before we started this. Check out my other video too on about a year and a half ago where I did the 11 millimeter injection pump upgrade. We put an automatic transmission pump on this car, which has an 11 millimeter pump, which can apparently flow more fuel when you start modifying these cars. But now, it's time. It comes with little washers as well, sealing washers. I'll do an unboxing here. So these are the 150. So they're the Bosio P1019 DLCs. Injector nozzles, proper ones, not the Chinese ones. These are the proper ones like they used on the 150 horsepower cars in Europe. So these are the nozzles here. We'll be very careful with these. Okay, here it is here. Apparently you're not supposed to touch those ends, so I'm going to be very careful with it, but they thread on to the injectors. The injectors are these four things under the fuel lines here, and the nozzles are at the end, so it's the nozzles that you replace. First thing we're going to do to change these nozzles is take the fuel lines off. I'm going to put a rag under here because I think some fuel might leak out of here. There's 17 millimeter nuts on the pump and also up here at the nozzle. Before I do that, there's these little clips here that have rubber in them. I guess it's just to stop vibration or something. I'm not sure if you have to loosen these, but I'm going to loosen them anyway just so the lines can move around a little bit. Both of these brackets, we'll just loosen that. I don't think you need to take it right off, but we'll just loosen it so we can get a little flexibility. We'll take this fuel line off of here, which is easier said than done because they're stuck on. In a minute I'll pop that off. And then I think we're going to take the lines right out and we'll start removing the injectors. All right, let's just get this little fuel line out of the way, just so it's not in the way of our camera mainly. Okay. There's also these little fuel lines that connect the injectors. I guess I don't know what they do, even out the pressure or something maybe. Or I guess it's the overflow fuel can work its way back to the pump. Sometimes you need to replace those. These ones look like they're in pretty good shape. We'll probably just pull them off and reuse them. Anyway, let's get going with these lines. I'm just going to loosen them all first. 17 millimeter. This one's probably a little easier to get once these top ones are off. And at the same time, I'm just going to loosen everything evenly just so things can move around. This one. How about like this? Maybe you speed this up with music or something, hey? Hey? Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see if I can get this stubborn one down here. See, they're leaking fuel a little bit here, so I got a rag down there. There is some fuel leaking. Come on, you. There we go. Now you don't want to introduce any dirt into here, so it's important to have a clean environment. I'm going to be very careful with these lines as they come off. I think you can just bend these back and work, but I'm going to take them out of the way just to free up some space. And we'll try not to get any dirt into anywhere. You want to keep this neat and clean. Okay, so there's the lines, and I'm just going to keep these nice and clean on this new dust-free paper towel over here until we're ready to put them back on. Okay. Okay, we'll pull off all these little fuel lines that connect the injectors together. They can be really stuck on there. Get that one. Just kind of got to work them. These ones look like they're in pretty good shape. Sometimes they're falling apart, but these ones look pretty soft still. So we'll probably just reuse these. Okay, cut. Okay, got all those fuel lines off. Now the glow plug harness here. Again, be careful with these. These things can break, and sometimes they're defective. This one looks like it's in pretty good shape. You can buy these. They're aftermarket replacements out there. Again, some of this stuff maybe could have come off before, but because you don't want to introduce any dirt into here. So the less work you do around these injectors while they're open, the better. Let's get this thing off of here too. This is there was one sensor on one of the injectors, and I used to know what it did. I'm going to have to read about it again because I forgot. It plugs in down there by my rag down here. We'll have to unplug that as well to get this third injector out. I'm calling this cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, injector 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll just pull the glow plug harness, and we'll push it out of the way here in a minute once we get this plug undone. Okay, no. All right, there's a 13 millimeter bolt holding these little fork brackets on these little push down things that hold the injectors in. Okay, so let's take off those. We'll just do one at a time. We'll do injector number 1 first. There is a torque spec on these. When we put them back on, we'll have to look it up. I'll edit this out. Here's the glow plug harness. Just kind of got it. Well, put it out of the way over here. Over here. And, okay. So we'll pull this little fork off. I don't know what it's called. There's probably a fancy German name for it. I call it an injector fork holder down thing. There's a bolt, and there's a little washer there too. Okay, then the little forky thing can come off. See, it's just a little hold down piece of some kind of metal. I don't know what it is, brass maybe? Hard to say. And then that leaves the injector here. There are actually caps, rubber caps that you can get for these, which I'm going to put on next, just because I don't want to introduce anything into the top of that injector. These can be kind of tight, as I understand. There's a place to put a wrench on there. I've just got a little bit of sauce. I'm going to put it down in there just to loosen up any soot that might be holding that injector tight in there. Okay, we'll do all of them like that actually. Get it soaking. Yeah. All right, I took the vacuum ball out of the way too. It was just kind of in the way, so I put it to the side there. 15 millimeter wrench will kind of slot onto these injectors. And then you can kind of wiggle them back and forth and eventually wiggle it out. There could be some soot in there. I couldn't find my little vacuum caps to cap off these things. The ones that I did find were all dirty, so I'm just going to be really careful and try not to get any dirt in there. Okay, there's the first one. And you can see there's the old nozzle. I don't know how good the light is there, but that's the old stock 90 horsepower nozzle. So we'll be very careful with these, taking them off and putting them in those containers. You don't want to drop this or even touch that, from what I understand. Just be very careful when we're working on these. All right, so we got the one injector out here. I'm going to put it in a vise. Careful of these fuel nipples. And tighten it down. They can be quite tight. I'm going to use a 15 millimeter deep socket and impact wrench. Just kidding, we're not going to use an impact. You don't want to be kind of gentle with these. I've just got a big ratchet here, so we'll just do it by hand. But before we do that, I almost forgot, there's a little copper washer here, okay? There's a copper washer. You can take a little bit of pliers here. You can take a small set of pliers. I've just got some vice grips and just work it loose. And then once it's loose, should be able to just carefully kind of bring it out the top. We'll soak these in some diesel clean later to clean them because we'll hang on to the old nozzles. And then once you've broken, these can be quite tight. Once you've broken the nut loose, we can just do it by hand. Now the nozzle should stay behind while we pull this out of here, but sometimes they'll come with you, I think. Yeah. There. Yeah, this one kind of came with me. And we'll just pop this out the bottom. There's the old nozzle there, and there's the nut. I'm going to clean this nut. There's a little bit of gunk on it. And I'm going to rinse these injectors in some diesel clean. There's a little pintle valve thing there that you don't want to lose, and there'll be a new one in the new nozzle. Okay, so I'm going to set this in a clean place. And we'll clean this up and then put the new nozzle in with a new copper washer. Okay, stop. All right, time for the new injector. Here's the moment of truth. Now there's these little pins here. There's really only one, they're offset. There's really only one way to put them on to make sure you get it right, like this. Make sure that pintle stays in there. Drop that on there. Now, did I get that lined up? Yes, I did. Okay. And then we'll put our newly cleaned nut on. And crank it down. Okay. And then we'll put this on correctly. And I've heard different things about the torque settings here. I've got a torque wrench. Most people seem to conclude that 32 to 33 foot-pounds is the correct torque, plus another 45 degrees, so like another eighth of a turn afterwards. I'm just going to do that. People seem to have had success with that. So I'm going to do, let's see here. Where is it? That's 25. Okay, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 30, I'll go 32 foot-pounds. Okay, 32 foot-pounds. Let's put this bad boy on here. And tighten to 32 foot-pounds. Why isn't it clicking? Okay, there's a click. And then they say another eighth of a turn, roughly. So I'm just going to do it something like that. That feels pretty tight to me. Okay, there's the new one. Now, the next part, a new copper washer, and I shouldn't have did that. Damn it. New copper washer. I put some grease on there, which was kind of probably a dumb thing to do. But I'm just going to put some grease down here just to kind of hold it in place when we put it back in the car. All right, just give it something to grab onto. Okay, it's ready to go back in the car. All right, before we put that injector in, I'm just going to clean out the bottom here. Make sure that there isn't a second washer or anything in there, which there isn't. I've just dipped a long Q-tip into some diesel clean. I think that'll be good. They're not very dirty. I just want to make sure there's not anything that might prevent sealing. If you can get the camera in there and show that it's fairly clean. I think it'll be okay. All right, it's time for installation. So I'm just going to carefully try and get this straight in so I don't bang the bottom of that injector nozzle. And I think that feels pretty good. It feels seated in there now. Now, of course, we have our, what I call hold down forks to go on, and a bolt. Now the bolt, these are kind of unique washers. Don't drop these washers because they're kind of like conical, right? They're convex. The convex part goes out like that. And let's put this in here like this. We'll thread that all the way in. Son, you could edit this out with music. There we go. Okay, I got the fork in and the bolt just finger tight there. Everything looks good. These things kind of sit in this little cup. Some people say put grease in there, but I think that would just attract dirt. They're pretty clean. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, now, torque. I've read different things about torque on these. I think 20 foot-pounds is something that I read that feels about right to me. So I've got the torque wrench set for 20 foot-pounds. Let me know in the comments if you have a better opinion or a fact. But 20 feels about right for a little tiny bolt like this holding an injector down. All right, 20 foot-pounds is what I'm guessing. There, that feels good. Okay, that's one done. Repeat that now 4 times, or 3 more times really. The number 3 injector here is a little bit different. It has this little sensor thing on it, but basically the same. And apparently the internals are a little bit different in here, but the injector is the same, the injector nozzle rather. 2, 3, 4, cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4 will then be done, and then we'll hook the lines back up. Okay, we now have the 4 injector nozzles installed on the injectors and the injectors back in here. If you notice, that's a different bolt. That's because that bolt broke. These are tough to torque because my torque wrench was set for 20 foot-pounds, which is, I think, about what people use for these, and it just kept going and it wouldn't click. And the torque wrench seemed to be working properly, but the bolt just kept turning for some reason and it broke. Anyway, we were able to get it out with an easy out and put a different bolt in there, and everything's all good now. I just did it by feel. What I did is I tightened these down to what I felt was about 20 foot-pounds, then I hit it with a brass drift. Then I hit it with a brass drift just lightly there to seat the injector into the washer, and then I tightened it a little bit more. So I did it by feel. I was so freaked out by breaking that bolt with the 20 foot-pound torque wrench that I didn't do it again. Okay, so now time to put the lines back on. We've got this pintle sensor plugged back in here. We'll put our little fuel lines back on, the little nipples here joining the injectors together. Do that across, and then we'll put the metal lines back on. I got the glow plug harness back on there, our little sensor plugged back in. Now it's time to put the lines on. So these two go here. Just thread these, get these started down here first. I'm just going to leave them loose for now, so we make sure that things get seated properly. Now I've heard that what you want to do is leave these ones down here loose, a little bit loose so they can move around a little bit, and get these tightened up here, right? And then tighten these ones down here. We'll tighten that one. These are compression fittings, so they don't have to be super tight, just tight and then a little bit more. Okay, now, of course, when we bleed the injectors, we'll loosen those ones off, but that's how I've heard you should do this. Now we'll do the other lines. So these guys go here. Down by the pump first. Just get them started. And then up here. And then tight down below. And someone said that on a forum that doing that allows these to be perfectly aligned when you tighten them down. If you tighten these ones first and then try to do these ones, apparently sometimes you can get leaks. I don't know if that's true or what, but it's fine. Makes sense. These bottom ones are always a bit of a pain. You got to kind of contort the wrench a bit, but eventually you get them tight. Like that. And like that. Okay, good. Now, everything up here is tight. Now we're getting close to the moment of truth. We will go crank the car. We'll back these off a little bit just to open them up so they'll leak. Right. And then we'll crank it over and see if we can get fuel coming out of here. If we don't get fuel, we're going to have to prime the pump. Okay, I'm going to get in the car while the cameraman is watching for fuel. Okay, let's crank it over. Oh, we got some fuel, it sounds like. Okay, so now we got fuel. That's good. Was it squirting a lot? Yeah, it was. There's fuel there. Now, some other genius from the internet also said, let me find my wrench here. It's at this stage where you start losing your tools. Where is it? Where's that bloody 17 millimeter wrench? Oh, now, okay, here it is. Okay, now, somebody said, close these ones first, these 1 and 4. Something about how the pump works or something. And then crank it again and get the last bit of air out of these middle ones. And then we'll try and start it. Okay, let's see now what it does. Let's see if fuel comes out of those 2 middle ones. How much?
Like a medium dribble out of the third injector.
Just a medium dribble. All right, I think that injector pump has air in it, but let's just close all 4 injectors up and see if it'll fire at all. That one.
That's only the third.
1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if it goes. I don't think it's going to go. I think there's air in that pump, but let's try it. Nope. Weak battery doesn't help. But we do have a charger. Show the charger. Yep, she's pulling lots of amps. Okay, well, let's open them back up and try again. This may transition to a fuel pump priming video as well. Let's open them all. And I got a dead battery, of course. Okay, let's try again. I've opened up all 4 lines again. We'll try this one more time, otherwise we're going to have to go into fuel pump priming. Was there fuel?
Yes, there's fuel.
Out of all of them?
Small dribble.
I think with that, I can see the fuel from the windshield. I think it's starting to get the air out. It's starting to get the air out.
All except
What two is it doing? It's doing this one? It's doing this one?
Yes.
What else is it doing? This one?
Yep.
Is it doing these ones?
It's doing the first, number 1.
Okay. It's not doing this one yet?
It's not doing the number 2.
Let's try and crank it just on number 2 then, with number 2 open. Here we go. No?
Didn't look like it, but maybe
Okay.
a small dribble?
Okay.
There's some bubbles there.
Yeah, the air's coming slowly. Like I said, I think there's air in this pump. And I can't remember how you do this, whether you do a mighty vac on this line, or I don't think it's this one. Now I have to research. I have to remind myself how to prime the pump. I'm sure lots of you guys know, but I might have to look it up. Okay, we have to resort to priming the pump. I think we got air in here, so here's how you prime the pump. Now I believe you can pour fuel directly in here, loosen this until fuel comes out. The thing that I've seen that I like the best is using a mighty vac right here. Apparently it's difficult to pull vacuum through here. There's some sort of a check valve or something in here. So the preferred way to do it is to take a 17 millimeter, and I got a 17 millimeter socket here, and we'll just crack this open there and take this off here. We'll take this right off here, and then we'll put the mighty vac in here. So let's pull that off. We might lose some fuel here, although I suspect that there's air in the pump, so maybe we won't be seeing any fuel come out of here yet, probably. Get these out of here. We'll try not to lose the washers. Oh, it is leaking a bit. But let's prime it anyway. It doesn't hurt. Okay. I don't want to lose these guys, so let's just tuck that to the side. Yeah, maybe with the rag there like that. Okay, now the mighty vac. So I've got my mighty vac. They come with these little fittings here, which fit pretty good in here to seal it up. They just kind of seal up nice into there. And then we're going to draw some vacuum and try and draw some fuel, see if we can see fuel coming into our container here. Oh yeah, look at that. So we're drawing lots of fuel and air probably too. Are you getting that? Looks like there's air bubbles as well, but I'm not sure if we need to keep doing this till we stop seeing air bubbles or what. There's fuel dripping out of here now. Maybe we'll do it one more time, one more container full, and then go from there. I'm gonna dump this out over here, buddy. All right, I filled up another container. There's still air bubbles, but there's obviously fuel here now. Let's hook this back up and see what happens. Just like that. And we'll tighten this back up here. Just so it seals up. That's about right. Okay, let's try the bleeding of the injectors again. Okay, let's try this one more time. Now that we've hopefully bled that fuel pump. All of them? Yeah. Really? All? Oh, good, good, good. That might indicate that we're in business. Okay, let's tighten them all back up. Well, let's do the trick with the guy that said, do these two tight, and then get the last air out of these ones.
It was 1 and 3 that were really squirting, and then 2 and 4 were like large.
Okay, okay, let's go. It's trying to start too. So those, I think those 2 cylinders are firing. Okay, let's tighten these 2 down now. This one. Okay, let's try the moment of truth. Just run the glow plugs for a sec. Success. Sounds good. New nozzles. Seems to idle really smoothly. Oh shit, I forgot this. Oh no. Oh boy. Oh. I forgot to hook this return line back up. And it was squirting fuel like a fire hose. Oh wow, maybe it came through on video. Down here. Oh, it's soaked in diesel. Good thing we noticed that. Good thing it's not gasoline or it would have burst into flames. All right, well that's a successful change of the injectors. We're gonna take this to the car wash and clean it all up. And then we'll do some driving impression videos.